Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're reading Starring Tracy Beaker by Jaqueline Wilson. We're starting on page 44 today. This is all Jaqueline Wilson's own work. I'm just reading it for entertainment and pleasure. So without further ado, let's get going. This is Starring Tracy Beaker by Jaqueline Wilson. I knew it was all going to come true, though perhaps I was embellishing things a little. I'm occasionally prone to exaggeration. That means I can get carried away and tell shocking great lies. They start to seem so real that I believe them too. Cam was happy to be in the bookshop. She ran her finger lovingly along the long lines of the paperbacks. "I'll have a little browse," she said. "The children's section is over in that corner, Tracy." "I don't want the children's books, I want the classics section," I said loftily. "Oh yeah," said Cam. "You fancy a quick flick through War and Peace? That's a quite good title. If I write my true life story about the dumping ground experiences, I'll call my book War and More and More and Yet More War. No, I'm going to peruse the collected works of Mr. Charles Dickens." That showed her. I wasn't kidding either. I wanted to find a copy of A Christmas Carol. I found a very nice paperback for £4.99. I had just 1 penny left. I didn't put it back in my purse. I decided to throw it in the dinky wishing well by the shopping centre Christmas tree. I could do with wishing session. Cam was still browsing in the fiction and her nose in a book, her whole expression one of yearning. I knew she couldn't afford all the books she wanted. She said she often spent 10 or 20 minutes in the shop reading a book before putting it back reluctantly. Once she'd even marked her place for the bus ticket so she could sidle back the next day and the next and the next and the next until she finished the whole story. I suddenly wished I'd saved a little bit of my Christmas money to buy Cam a paperback. I fidgeted uncomfortably with my wishing penny. I threw it up and caught it again and again, practicing my wishing. Then I dropped it and it rolled off right around the shelves. I ran after it and practically bumped my nose on my mind, body, spirit sign. I picked up my penny, my eyes glazing over all these dippy books about star signs and spiritual auras, and then I saw a title in sparkly silver lettering: "Make your wishes come true." I reached for the book, my hand shaking. It was a slim little book, written by someone called Grisella Moonbeam, White Witch. I considered calling myself Tracy Moonbeam, Very Black Witch. I'd learn magic spells and make frogs and toads spew out of just to get everyone on her side of Littlewood. We opened the book and started flipping through the pages. It really was full of spells. I couldn't find frog and toad curse for your worst enemy, but there were plenty of love potions and magic charms. I turned another page and then my heart started thumping. Charmed to be with your loved one on a festive occasion. My mum was very much my loved one, and you couldn't get a more festive occasion than Christmas. So I badly wanted her to come this Christmas and watch me act Scrooge on stage. I was about ready to pop. I read the charm carefully. Griselda advised mixing 1 part mead to 2 parts dandelion wine, adding cinnamon for spice and ginger for warmth and sugar for sweetness. She suggested stirring the mixture well while chanting the loved one's name, then drinking from the wrong side of the glass without drawing breath. I blinked. "Easy peasy," I gabbled the ingredients over and over again. I got so used to learning my Scrooge lines that the recipe tucked itself neatly inside my head without too much fussing. Then I reverently replaced Griselda Moonbeam, danced 7 times round the bookshelf because it seemed a magic thing to do, and then staggered giddily off to find Cam. "Are you feeling okay, Tracy?" she asked, as I bumped right into her. "I'm fine," I said, carefully sorting out my carrier bags and my penny. "Come on, Cam, let's get cracking. I've got all my Christmas presents now, and I haven't got a sausage," said Cam, sighing. "Oh well, maybe I can make some of my presents this year." I shook my head at her. "Look, Cam, making presents is for little kids. I can barely get away with it. You're way too old, believe me, and forget all about it on my behalf. I want a proper present." "You don't really work hard to get people to like you, Tracy," said Cam, shutting her book with a snap. "I don't have to. I'm bubbling over with natural charm," I said. However, I pondered her point as we left the bookshop. What was all this gubbins about getting people to like you? I didn't fancy sucking up to people all the time and saying they looked lovely when they looked rubbish and all that sick-making nonsense. Louise was a past master at that, and a present mistress too. She could flutter her long eyelashes, fix you with a soulful glance with her big blue eyes, and say softly that you were the funniest girl in all the world, and she wanted to be your best friend forever, and you actually believed it until she ganged up with someone else. Still, I wouldn't want to be Louise's best friend anymore. I don't want her to like me again. I definitely don't want Justine Dog-breast, Snake-tongued, Baboon-bottom Littlewood to like me. I don't need to work at getting people to like me. Heaps and heaps of people do. I go out of my way to stop Weedy Peter liking me. Elaine and Jenny and Mike like me too. They do heaps of things for me, don't they? Although they're paid to hang out with me. Maybe they simply can't stick me, but don't tell me because it would be unprofessional. It would be silly thinking like this. I was starting to panic. It wasn't good for me to get so worked up, though of course all great actors were hypersensitive and temperamental. Miss Simpkins liked me, or she wouldn't have offered me the starring part in her play, unless she was simply sorry for me because I was little Tracy No Friends, the most unpopular girl in the whole school. Maybe Cam didn't like me either. She just came to take me out every week as a duty. She was just making a fuss of the sad, ugly kid with mega attitude problems because it would make her feel good. Maybe I was an unpleasant weekly project on par with taking out the rubbish and cleaning the toilet. Tracy, why are you breathing all funny? She said to Cam as we walked through the shopping centre. I'm hyperventilating on account of your hostile remarks, I said, going extra gaspy to give her a fright. What do you mean? You said no one likes me, I said. I suddenly couldn't help gasping. I felt so horrible. I didn't, Cam said. You did, and it's outrageous to say that to a looked-after child. You've probably traumatised me for life, I said, giving her a shove. I used my elbows, and they're particularly sharp. Ouch! You probably puncture me for life with your little stiletto elbows. When I'm fading away with hunger, it's no wonder I'm so skinny. You better whip me to McDonald's quick. What with my general anorexic state and my tragic realisation that everybody totally hates me. Oh, Tracy, will you just stop it? I didn't say anyone hated you. I didn't say anyone didn't like you. I simply said you didn't try hard to make people like you. Cam paused. She took hold of me by the shoulders, staring straight into my eyes. But even when you treat me like dirt, I still like you. I relaxed. Mind you, I'd like you even more if you tried being gentle and considerate and polite, said Cam. Me? I said. Dream on, come on. I want my Big Mac and my fries, please. Be kind, pretty, ever so nice to me, Camilla. Yuck. It was working till you said my name. That's what my mum calls me. Oh, God, I wish it wasn't nearly Christmas. I had my own wish to make, a real magic spell, much more powerful than throwing a penny in a polystyrene wishing well. I went over it in my head, and as I munched my burger and gobbled my chips and slurped my shake. Can we go back to your house for tea? Cam, I asked. Hey, I thought what I wanted for tea too. You're only just having lunch, girl. Yeah, but I want something special for tea, something Christmassy. You know I'm pretty skint at the moment. I expect I can make a sausage on a stick and a mince pie, but that's about my limit. Never mind that stuff. Well, yes to sausages, and yes to mince pies too, and a chocolate log would be a good idea, come to think of it. But what I was really hoping for was Christmas punch. What? You know, a special festive drink. There's this amazing punch I've heard about. You mix 1 part mead, 2 parts dandelion wine, and then you add cinnamon and ginger and sugar. You stir it all around and Bob's your uncle. Fanny's your aunt, yummy in your tummy. I mimed being a cocktail barman for her and ended up with a flourish. Cheers, I said, raising my imaginary glass. Cam blinked at me. Well, personally, I prefer a simple glass of wine as a festive drink, but each to their own. We can try and fix you something similar. No, you can't muck about with the ingredients. It'll lose its potency, I said urgently. Cam's eyes narrowed. Tracy, have you taken up witchcraft? She is so spooky at times. It's as if she can open a little flap up on my head and peer straight into my mind. Watch out if I'm a trainee witch, Cam. Think of the havoc I could wreak, I said, contorting my face into a witchy grimace and making manifold hag cackles. Help, says Cam. raising her eyebrows. Okay, I'll see what we can do. Come on, let's have a trek around Sainsbury's and see what we can come up with. We couldn't find any mead at all or dandelion wine. I started to fuss considerably. It's okay, Tracy. Mead is a honey drink, Cam told me. I've got a jar of honey at home, so we'll put a spoonful of honey in a glass of wine and pick a dandelion on the way home and chop it up and add it to... Okay? I've got sugar and we'll buy a little pot of cinnamon. And what was the other thing? Oh, ginger. Well, I think I've got a packet of ginger biscuits somewhere. They might be a bit stale, but I don't suppose that matters. I was still a bit doubtful. I wanted to do it all properly, but it couldn't be helped. When we got back to Cam's, I carefully washed the dandelion leaf. It had been very hard to find. Cam eventually reached through the slats of someone's gate and picked a plant from their front garden. I said, isn't that stealing? It's weeding, said Cam firmly. Dandelions are weeds. If that is a dandelion, of course it is, Tracy. What do you know about plants, Cam? Look, I might not be Aaron Titchmarsh, but I know my dandelions from my duck leaves. That is a dandelion, okay? So get chopping. I chopped the dandelion into little green specks. I crumpled the biscuits and spooned out the honey and sugar. Cam poured some wine into her pretty pink wine glass. She lifted it absent-mindedly to her lips. Hey, it's my potion, I said. Okay, said Cam, sighing. Go on then, shove the rest of the stuff in, though it seems a shame to muck up a perfectly good glass of wine. This isn't a drink, Cam, it's a potion. My potion, I said. Now let me sprinkle and stir. You keep quiet, I have to concentrate. I concentrated like crazy, sprinkling in every little green dandelion speck and the ginger and the sugar and the honey, and then I stirred it vigorously with a spoon. And that is where I'm going to stop it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Until the next time, guys. Goodbye.